probably had to sit through that less than interesting history class and asked yourself why you had to be there, right? Well, Edmund Burke, an 18th century politician, and George Santayana, a 20th century philosopher, have both explained it similarly. It is because those who do not know history's mistakes are doomed to repeat them. These quotes that I paraphrased from came from wikiquote.org. So today I'm going to tell you about the start, environment, and events of Kristallnacht, also known as the Night of Broken Glass. So let me first take you 77 years back. The date is October 28th and the year 1938. 18,000 Polish Jews have just been deported from their homes in Germany and moved to the border as their resident permits were canceled. Poland has also declared that it will not take back these Polish-born Jews after the end of October. So now, moving less than a month later, we find Herschel Greenspan, whose parents have been victims of all this. He is living at the time with his uncle in Paris, and after hearing about his parents' condition, he gets upset and goes to the German embassy in Paris and shoots Ernst von Rath. Now, this is what gives the Germans and the Nazis the excuse to start Kristallnacht. But now, going back a little further than that, let's explore some of the reasons why these Germans would be willing to turn against their Jewish neighbors and destroy so much of their property. To start off with, Hitler had won the Germans' appreciation. He had built their economy enormously. He had also helped throw off the disgrace they felt after losing World War I. Lastly, he had built a sense of national, more of racial pride in the German people. In his book, Mein Kampf, Hitler talks of how the Germans are at the top of the evolutionary chain and how the Jews are their only real competition. Quoting directly from his book, Mein Kampf, which I access online through Project Gutenberg of Australia ebooks, he writes this. He says, "This is chiefly applicable to that parasitic nation, which particularly at this point in time preys upon the honest portion of mankind. I mean the Jews." And this same theme continues as Hitler continues to tell the Germans how the Jews are like parasites and how they're feeding off of and weakening the German people. So now, given the environment of those German countries at the time, it is not a big surprise that Kristallnacht happened. Kristallnacht happened November 9th through 10th, 1938. It is estimated that over 1,000 Jewish synagogues were destroyed, 91 Jews murdered, 30,000 men arrested, and at least 30 Jews committed suicide. This comes from a review written by Michael Morris, author and professor of Holocaust Studies at the University of Toronto. One man's experience is recorded in a podcast series by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum done in 2009. Rabbi Jacob Weiner says that on November 9th, he was asleep in his dormitory. At 2:30 in the morning, authorities came and arrested all 50 of the Jewish boys there. At the time, he was going to a Jewish teachers' seminary school in Würzburg, Bavaria, 400 kilometers or 250 miles from his home in Bremen. After they were arrested, they were told to walk through the streets, past the burning synagogues, into jail. All along, as they walked, people that were assembled on the side spit at them and called them names. While in jail, Weiner said every day some of them would disappear as they were sent to concentration camps. Finally, 7 days later, 7 of the boys were told to step aside, him being one of them. They were then told that they were free and to go home, but now with 250 miles to go and not a penny to his name, Weiner said it took many miracles for him to get home. At last, when he arrived home, he found the family's bicycle business with windows shattered and barricaded and the door locked. A neighbor explained how his father had escaped to Poland and how his mother, the authorities had come and how they demanded that she tell them where the father had went. Weiner says that he doesn't know if she didn't know where he went, honestly, or if she just refused to tell them, but either way, they killed her. But so now imagine if this was you. If you were going to school and your dormitory got broken into, you were arrested along with your classmates, you didn't know what you'd done, you hadn't done anything. And then to be walked through the streets, past where you lived and studied as you watched it burning down, then to be spit at and called names by people that you hadn't done anything to. Next, you're sitting in jail as you watch as some of your friends, your classmates, are taken away and you know they'll probably never come back. To be set free and then to return home only to find your mother murdered and then your father and the rest of your family gone. Think of the racism, of the hate that Hitler had built. Altogether, Kristallnacht had started the Holocaust. 30,000 Jews were sent to concentration camps, thousands emigrated. On top of it all, the Jews, the ones who all the riots had been against, who their property had been destroyed, they were fined and blamed for the damage done that night. I hope that you now know more about the start, environment, and events of Kristallnacht. History has a habit of revolving. If we know history, it helps us so that we do not fall into the same traps as previous generations. So next time you're sitting in that history class and starting to zone off, remember what has happened and learned, lest history repeat itself.